Welcome to the Moon Baby Magic Podcast, a space for women and women's stories. For the woman just beginning to believe she can actually heal her painful period naturally. For the one in a full-on love affair with aligning her entire life with her cycle. And for every woman in between. This is a platform to remember the wisdom that lives in our wombs so that we may actualize the lives of our dreams. I'm your host, Natalie Elliott, women's health practitioner specializing in traditional Chinese medicine-based hormonal healing. Ready for slow and sacred storytelling and to learn a little something? Let's dive in. Welcome back. I am so excited to bring you today's episode. When I reached out to the group of women that I did a birth worker training with 3 years ago, I asked if anyone wanted to come on my podcast and share birth and birth worker stories because that was kind of the crux of this podcast when it began. It was speaking to and is speaking to women's rites of passage. And, in these episodes, we always get into menarche, a girl's first period. And I was really missing some of the deeper menarche to birth, to motherhood journeys that we've had on this podcast. So I was super stoked that Savannah wanted to come a couple weeks ago and that Tori's here today. And I've just, been kind of missing birth work a little bit, which is such a sweet thing. For those of you who don't know, my path in women's health started with first prenatal yoga and then being a birth doula. And it's so nourishing for me to receive these birth stories and to be in kind of the realms of pregnancy and birth in whatever way I can be without actively attending. I actually just today, it's Tuesday before this episode comes out on Wednesday, and just today I saw a client of mine who's almost 35 weeks pregnant. She'll be 35 weeks pregnant tomorrow. And we just talked all about like how she wants the birth room to feel and, booked our next session to talk more about postpartum planning. And while she didn't come to me for birth preparation, she came to me for fertility support and different gut stuff going on, which, yay, she's obviously pregnant now. That worked. It's just so sweet to be able to weave that into the work I get to do with her. So anyways, all that to say, I'm really excited for you to hear Tori's stories today. She has two kind of different style of births, and I love that because you get to choose how you want to birth, whether that is in a hospital or it's all the way to the other side of the spectrum as a free birth. You get to make whatever choice is right for you, and hallelujah to no dogma and doing that. I think that's all I want to say. So let's talk about Tori. Tori never really had bad periods, but after her first baby, her cycle became almost effortless. And when she started to understand why, it reframed everything she thought she knew about what birth actually does to a woman's body. And this is where I get into my clinical TCM angle, and the reason why birth heals and can heal period pain. Not that Tori had period pain, but some other symptoms. And we also get into what it's like to bleed as a mother of a newborn and a toddler. And one of my favorite moments from this episode was the day Tori's daughter looked at her period underwear, Tori's period underwear, and said, "Ew, yucky blood," and the amazingness that Tori said back to her. We also talk about Tori's two births, of course, a home birth in Copenhagen where she realized how much she deferred to the authority in the room, and then following her free birth in California where she births an 11-pound baby standing over the toilet in 4 hours with no tear and no drama. And she actually described it as almost mundane. You're going to want to hear that one. Plus, we get into the women's village that Tori is diligently and lovingly building in her home in Sonoma County, California, and her vision for what it looks like when maidens, mothers, and crones actually show up for each other. So let's get right into it. I hope you love it. All relevant links, Tori's info, my info, booking of sessions are all in the show notes below. And I'll check back in with you at the end of the episode. Yay! Welcome to the podcast, Tori. I'm so happy you're here.
Yay, thanks for having me. Happy to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, it's so fun. Tori and I did a birth keeper training program together, which was like 3 years ago now. Wait, 4 years ago? 3 years ago.
Uh, I think 2023 three, I think. So
Years
3 years
ago.
ago, but it feels like so long
It
ago,
does feel like
doesn't
so long ago.
it? Like way more than 3 years.
Yeah, what the heck? And we also just found out we live not that far from each other in Northern California, which I'm stoked to find out.
Mhm.
Anyways, I was just telling you, Tori, like before we hit record, that I like to start with where we're at in our cycles. And so I'd love to hear, and I also like to share where you're at in your phase of life. So if you could share with me, like, kind of generally what phase or what point of your cycle you're in, and then also kind of like what phase of life you're currently in.
Yeah. I am ovulating right now.
Me
So
too.
I'm feeling good. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just, yeah, I feel like before we were recording, I was telling you how like things are feeling good. But if you had talked to me 2 weeks ago, I was like in the trenches, like with balancing bleeding again since this like new postpartum time since having my last baby almost 10 months ago. So I started bleeding again 3 or 4 months postpartum. Um, but yeah, the last two cycles have actually been a bit rough. Just like
Oh, really?
I'm feeling the yeah, emotional roller coaster, just mood swings way more than I've ever felt actually.
Wow.
But I definitely am like realizing how much that has to do with getting back into balance of like just being in postpartum, like the hormonal shifts are still there, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
still out of balance. And then yeah, balancing my cycle, bleeding while taking care of two kids is a lot.
Yeah, what is that like? Like what is your moon time like with two kids?
Yeah, so I feel like I've been thinking about this a lot lately because ever since it's like really beautiful how I never struggled with like bad cramps or any kind of really bad PMS
Hmm.
ever, really. But before Luna, my daughter, who's now 4.5, was born, I definitely like was a little crampy, a little like, like felt like some symptoms coming on before I started bleeding. And then after I gave birth to her, it was like nothing. Like my bleed would just come and I was
Whoa.
like, oh, it's here. Okay, I feel more tired.
Wow.
But and yeah, and oh, I think it's so incredible. I was actually just talking to
Oh,
my mama baby circle about this because like it's such a like it's like a thing that women
yeah.
after they give birth, their PMS symptoms go away.
Yeah, it's healing. Like birth is
Yeah,
healing for your
birth is
hormones and your
healing. And
cycle.
also I
Yeah.
was thinking about how like if like PMS is like stagnation really, like birth has like opened the portal and it's like the ultimate light,
Yeah.
right? And
Totally.
it just makes so much sense and it's so cool.
Yeah, because
And
PMS and period pain, like one of those, I talk about this all the time on this podcast. People are probably like sick of me hearing liver cheese stagnation, but it's
yeah,
like the stagnation, like that's literally what creates PMS symptoms and pain. And you're so right. Like when your body is like opening and doing like kind of this like giant, like not to diminish birth, but like flush out, it's
yeah,
like, whoa, you're actually creating such like deep space in your body
right.
for things to move.
Right. Yeah, it makes so much sense. I know. I was just having this realization like last week, because
I love that.
I've thought about it a lot before, but I never really I feel like I figured out the reason. I don't know.
You're
But
like,
also
I
I
figured
was
it out.
yeah, I was also thinking about how like women are having babies so much later than like
Yeah,
maybe what we're naturally
yeah.
like, or at least what we used to do, right? And like women living with all the stagnation and pain, and then they have their
Mm,
babies at like 35 or 40 for the first time, and
mm.
then they get the healing effects of whatever that is,
Oh, that's so
right?
interesting.
But
Yeah.
like maybe we should like what if we were having babies like in our early 20s?
Mm,
Like maybe we wouldn't be living with so much.
maybe that and the endocrine disruptors.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, obviously. But I was just thinking about that too, like how normal it is for women to have this, and then like it's also so normal for us to have babies so much later now.
Yeah, that's true. That's an
And it
interesting
is our
point.
design to have babies, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So of course the
Not that every like
physiological
I'm
design. Yeah.
yeah. I know I'm not saying everyone needs to have a baby to like be healed and be healthy, but it's just something that's been on my mind.
Well, it is true. It's like one of the things that I think about a lot is like, I don't know, sometimes I talk online about like the importance of ovulation and like, are you ovulating and all of that. And then I'm like, sometimes I think people look at that and they're like, why should I care? Like, I'm not trying to get pregnant. And so
Yeah.
what I always bring it back to is really similar to that, which is like, even if you are not trying to conceive a baby right now, the physiological, biological design of your body is to have a baby. That's why you have a menstrual cycle. And so if you could get pregnant, theoretically, that's how you know you're in a healthy body.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the most it's the um yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, but you asked how it is with my cycle as a mom. Yeah, so what I was gonna say is that I feel like I only really came into relationship with my cycle like after my daughter was born. I
Mm,
remember having this I my bleed also came back around 3 or 4 months postpartum with her. And I
yeah.
remember being like, oh my gosh, how am I like this sucks. Like, why has my bleed come back already? And, like all the other moms I know, like haven't gotten it, and everyone talks about like breastfeeding and not getting it for like a year until a year postpartum or something, right? And I'm like, how am I supposed to? I'm already exhausted from waking up in the night and breastfeeding and all the things, and now I have to bleed too, right? And I think I said that to my sister, and she was like, yeah, but you could also think of it like maybe it's also a health, like maybe it's a sign that you're healthy and your bleed is back. And like I just remember that so clearly. I just like
Mm,
had this shift of like, oh my goodness, it's true. Like why I'm like taking my like what is my attitude about my bleed? Like I'm taking it so for granted, like
oh,
as if it doesn't matter. It like yeah that it just
whoa.
so strange, like, or it was like really cool to have that realization. And since then it was just like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I'm so blessed to have my bleed, to have my cycle
Oh,
back. Yeah, and it wasn't yeah, no, before that I was definitely living in that story and paradigm of like, oh, it's like a bird. It wasn't that I complained about it all the time, but it was just like, yeah, like, like have to bleed because I'm a woman kind of thing. And it just shifted. I know it's funny to think about now, like
I
it's so
know,
clear for
right?
me now, almost 5 years later, but it shifted completely. And it just went
Wow.
from like every month being like, yes, like my bleed is here, and like starting to track more my cycle. So, anyways, what I was gonna say about that is that like it's really new in some ways for me to be in relationship like that with my bleed.
Yeah.
And I and as especially new as a mother. So if I mean she's 4.5, and I got pregnant when she was almost 3.
Hmm.
So I guess I had like almost 3 years of bleeding as a mother, but it feels like really new to be
Yeah.
like aware of what my body is doing every month, and like also like treating it and respecting it kind of the way I
Hmm.
think I should be,
Hmm.
or I want to be.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that recently too, like how now with this new baby, everything is like reconfigured, and I'm like stepping into this new chapter and configuration with my family and being a mother, even though it's been 5 or 6 months of having my cycle back. It just feels so new of figuring out how to live with it again, as a mother. And it's just so different. Like I definitely think about how, of course, like if I was a maiden, or if I had older toddlers, like older kids, it's like so much easier to just take the time for yourself
Yeah.
when you bleed. But I can take that time. It is possible. My husband is so supportive and like
I love to hear that.
yeah, like so I'm like I'm getting back into it and I'm like remembering this last bleed I was terrible. I I thought it was gonna come a couple days before it did, and it was the weekend, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna rest because I remember how tired I was last time, and I'm not doing anything this weekend. And then it didn't come until like Sunday night, and then it was Monday, and then I had a bunch of things to do. Like, I was just sort of in late luteal, just like, oh, I don't really feel like doing anything anyways, but I should
I
have
know. I've
done
so been
more.
there. And I actually just talked to a friend about this who also has a toddler, and she was like going to be bleeding on her birthday. And so for her birthday, she was like, I just want all the women to like bring me food and like support my bleed. And she didn't, which is such a beautiful thing, but she didn't end
Yeah.
up bleeding until like 3 days after that. And you're just like, darn it, I
Yeah,
tried.
totally. Oh, I know. And
But it's
also,
still
I'm
good
used
to
to actually
rest.
being really regular. And it has been
Yeah.
sort of like actually before this last pregnancy, it was like 20, day 29, 28 or 29, like on the day.
Mm,
And it was now it's a little bit like maybe 2 or 3, like 30, 31. Like
yeah.
it's been a little different. So I'm getting used to that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I basically then went into the first few days of my bleed like at the beginning of the week and didn't really respect it the way I wanted to. And I really feel like I paid for it. Like by the end of the week, I was just so
Right.
exhausted and felt so depleted,
Yeah.
even though I wasn't bleeding anymore. And I was like, whoa, I need to remember that I need to take the time and I need to rest. And
I
it's so
know.
weird. Like my mom, who's very open, very like alternative, raised us so holistically. Like it's just
Wow.
a totally different generation. I was talking to her about it, and her attitude was like, um, oh well, like you kind of live in the wrong times, like day and age for that, don't you? It's
What?
like, yeah, like okay, we don't have the red tent. Like, yeah, I was just like, yeah, actually, I live in an age where women around me are aware of this, and we're waking up to like,
Yeah.
wow, we can be taking care of ourselves. So
Wow.
it's interesting to think about how different. Yeah, I actually think it's a really new thing. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've come into relationship more recently with my bleed in this way of like knowing how I need to take care of myself. And yeah, I
Hmm.
just think a lot about how our parents like just powered through, our mothers just powered
Yeah.
through it all and like probably had no idea.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, there's so much I want to say from the amazing things you just shared, like so many beautiful insights you've had about bleeding times. The first thing is like, yeah, when you don't rest, when you bleed, like when you don't like, and it doesn't have to be crazy, Like I used to like literally, I used to be so crazy about rest. I'm not as crazy anymore. I like used to literally not want to even like cook a meal for myself when I was bleeding. And now I don't have a partner, so I have to cook my own meals.
Yeah.
So like it's changed a little bit. But I do try to like prep a soup or something. But I think like if you rest in some way, even if that's just like you have a state of mind that's like oriented to rest and you like, go about the things you have to do with a mindset of rest and like take one intentional hour to do something that you wouldn't normally do during the week. Like that is going to, because rest isn't just physical, right? It's like mental, spiritual,
Totally.
psychological, emotional. And so like if you aren't able to fully physically like lay down for the whole day, which most people aren't, like, how can you be gentler with yourself so that your emotional and mental states can rest and spiritually you can rest, right? It's like not the time to do like deep thinking and revelation work, which a lot of people think it is. Like, they're like, oh, your inner oracle during menstruation. And it's like, yeah, but that comes from doing nothing, not from like
Yeah,
trying
right.
to go into that.
Right. Totally.
And so anyways, but my point was when you do that, if you don't do that, your body will make you do it later in the cycle when you don't want to be
Uh,
resting, which like
uh-huh.
sucks. Like 'cause when you get towards ovulation and you're like, why am I so tired? I'm supposed to be at like peak energy right now. And it's because you didn't give the energy to that follicle that needed to develop to reach ovulation. And so you're depleted trying to ovulate, which doesn't feel good.
Right. Right.
Wild.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's such a good reminder. And then
Yeah.
especially coming into relationship with that as a mother.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
a
then the
good
question,
reminder that you don't actually have to be like horizontal flat.
yeah.
That there's like, and yeah, I've kind of been aware of that. I'm like, yeah, there's just little things I can do, like just not trying to do so many things in one day, or like
Yeah.
trying to organize so the errands don't have to be done in those first few days. And
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
that was actually my next question. I was like, what are some ways that you feel like you've oriented towards rest as a mother?
you just cut out. What was the question?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. It was kind of what you already answered, but like, are there any other ways you have oriented to this type of rest as a mother, like little ways that you can incorporate that?
Yeah, also a practice. And I feel like it's all changed, and yeah, it's so different now being a mother of two and like having to reorient myself to that. Now with the second baby, with when I just had one with Luna, I would like nap. I would nap almost every day with her, at least one of her naps.
Mm,
And now I try to do that, but it's harder because I have to take care of my toddler, and it only works out, once in a while it works out because she's just playing on her own and it's fine. I can just like close my eyes with my baby in my arms after he's nursed to sleep. And sometimes I get lucky and she's like with someone else, and I get some time with just me and my baby. I've been realizing more how important that time is, like to get my toddler out of the house.
mm.
And even though I still am taking care of yeah, it's like it's different levels of like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's good to have both kids out of the house and time to myself, which doesn't happen often.
yeah.
Uh, but I try. And then like even just getting my toddler out of the house and getting time with my baby, it's like quite the mental rest is so good. My daughter
Mhm.
talks so much.
I bet.
So I'm like really I'm getting better at that. And yeah, try getting better at finding ways to make that happen.
Sweet.
Um,
I love
yeah,
that.
it's hard because childcare is expensive, but
Yeah.
but yeah, no, we're getting better, and like also like exchanging time with friends, and
That's sweet.
taking care of each other's kids. Yeah. And I have my family close by too, so I'm lucky in that way. But
Yeah, that is really nice.
yeah.
Oh, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. Yeah, the last thing that came up as you were speaking earlier was I really loved hearing about your process around like first being kind of upset that your bleed came back and wondering if something was wrong, but then like having that shift and being like, oh my God, of course this is an amazing thing. And what I love about that is it reminds me so much of like the first bleed energy. It's like we can really decide what the energy is of receiving our first bleed. And if the energy is like, oh shit, this sucks, like what do I do? Or if the energy is like, oh wow, this is amazing. Like this means I'm healthy. This is like a beautiful thing I get to step back into that like my body is showing vitality to me. And yeah, I think it's cool because postpartum, like getting your bleed back is sort of similar energetically to the first bleed. Whereas it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you're coming into something again as a new person and it's a rite of
Mm-hmm.
passage and you've changed and here you are coming into your cycle as someone new.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess my question in all of that is I would love to know like what your first bleed was actually like.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember. So I think I was about 12, 11 or 12. I want to say, yeah, I think I was in sixth grade and I went to Waldorf school. So I was little, yeah, I think I was 12. And I remember, what do I remember? I remember it came in the morning. Um, and I bled a little bit on my pajamas, I think. And I told my
Oh.
mom, we had probably talked about it at some point. I also have an older sister
Mm,
and like was aware of it coming. Other girls in my class, at least a couple others had gotten it already too.
mm,
Um, so I remember being like very aware of like when is it gonna come, and like definitely a little bit of like like hidden, like I don't know about shame. Yeah, I was probably feeling like collective shame, like
Mm,
not feeling like it was necessarily something you talked about openly, not necessarily knowing how to talk about it, not knowing exactly what to expect,
mm,
being a little bit afraid of like bleeding through my clothes at school or something when it comes. Yeah, but I told it happened before school in the morning and I told my mom and she was like, "Oh, here's the pads." And like I think she tried to show me like how I can track, like she showed me her calendar for the first
aw,
time, which yeah, yeah. I
that's so
like,
cute.
which is interesting. I think now as a mother of a daughter, I think that's interesting that it didn't happen until I was actually bleeding. Like I
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be showing my daughter that, like I'm already showing my daughter everything about bleeding. But she showed me, like day one, and then you can expect it this many days later.
Mm,
Um, but that's all. She definitely didn't teach me anything else about the cycle. It's
wow.
just about the bleed. But yeah, I remember coming out of the bathroom and then I remember being super embarrassed because she had made a smoothie and she like brought my dad over and like wanted to do like a cheers with the smoothie. And I was just like, okay, like, oh, now you told dad, okay.
Oh my
I didn't really
God.
know what to think. I didn't really have much meaning around it. I mean, it was like womanhood, I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't say my mom was like very embodied
But
in.
cheers with the smoothie. I'm dying.
I'm like this 12-year-old, like, okay.
Like nothing is more mortifying to a 12-year-old.
Yeah, she just like told me, like I don't know. I guess I didn't necessarily know it was something I had to talk to my or cue in my dad about.
Yeah.
It's like it was fine. It wasn't like a huge deal, but it was, yeah, a
Yeah.
little embarrassing. Um, yeah, I don't know if I remember much else. I
Mm,
remember my mom saying something like it can, like you might notice it be like a lot of blood and it can feel like intense or kind of traumatic or something. And I remember not knowing what she was talking about until like at one point where I like went to the bathroom and there was like a lot of blood on the
mm.
pad and being like, whoa, that is a lot of blood. Okay. I kind of know, like that is sort of weird. It's
Was
funny.
that
I
that
feel
same
like she
like
used the
first
word.
was that the same first cycle or was it another
Yeah, I
different?
think the same for cycle.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, but I guess I remember that word traumatic, and like I think it's kind of
You're
funny that
like
she used.
you're like, why'd you say that?
How is it traumatic? Like intense. Yeah, like I remember being like,
Intense.
oh, that's a lot of blood. Like, oh, like my that's coming out of my body.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, that's about all I remember.
No, that's a lot. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's so interesting. I love collecting these like first period stories because everyone has such a different like thing. Like some people's parents like didn't acknowledge it or were like, oh shit, or some
I
people had like a
know.
full ceremony.
Yeah.
I had one woman on my podcast who like didn't even tell anyone for the first 3 years. It's like crazy, you know? And so I'm always like,
Yeah.
whoa, like where do we pick up our response to this? And I think when I really get down to it, like even if someone didn't have a very obvious experience of shame, like I don't think you really had that. You didn't have anyone saying this is gross, this is dirty, like oh
Uh,
fuck, like you didn't have anything like that. But because things like just like you said, nothing was talked about before you actually started bleeding. It's like when we don't know about something, like shame can kind of just accumulate or seep in
mhm.
when it's like not
Yeah, and it
talked
was
about.
like this sort of whispery thing around
Yeah.
with other girls in my class, and like
Yeah.
everyone's like so afraid of bleeding through their pants. I remember that
Oh
so
my gosh, yeah.
vividly.
Afraid of bleeding through the
Which
pants.
is so funny now.
Man, I've
I mean,
bled through my pants as an adult, and I'm just like, well, I also like
oh
to do
man.
my part in like, because this actually I think is one of the ways we all can sort of destigmatize and like get rid of that shame that like creeps in without us even knowing or without little girls even knowing. like the thing I think we can all be doing is just like openly speaking about bleeding. So
Yeah.
I will, like, in most of my circles, like bleeding is really normalized, but I do have like kind of more mainstream circles that I'm in.
Yeah.
And lately, especially, I do like Latin dance. I don't know if I've shared that with you, but I do Latin dance. And so I'll like go to dance things. And I remember one time I was at dance class and there's like three classes in a row. There's classes from like 6 to 10 p.m. and I was leaving before the final class. So I was leaving at like 8:45 or something.
Uh-huh.
And this guy in dance class was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just tired. I'm gonna head home." And he's like, "Oh, you're tired? You're sick?" And I'm like, "No, I'm on my period." And he like looked so taken aback by me saying that. And I was like, "It's a time where I like to rest more." And just like little things like that, just like really throwing it in, like, or if
Yeah.
someone at the barista at the coffee shop is like, "How are you feeling?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm on my period. I'm a little tired, but like I'm
Yeah.
all good." And just like kind of seeing how people respond.
Yeah.
And I think like the more we do that, the more we're like, yeah, this is something that we can just share. It's not like a
Yeah.
weird thing to share.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I do that all the time too.
Yeah. I'll even share when I'm ovulating now too. Like
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
exactly.
I'm ovulating. I feel great. People are like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you start getting questions like, oh, like how can I track my cycle?
Yeah,
Like how can I learn about that? Because I never learned, I don't, like adult women like being like, I need to get better at that.
100% you inspire.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm super aware like my daughter, I mean, I think all toddlers do this. I don't really understand how, unless I've just forgot. Like, I feel like I must have been in the bathroom with my mom too, but maybe I wasn't when she was bleeding. But my
Mm.
daughter is like right there, like asking me about my blood, like knows all about my period panties, like, no, like offers me to get me a pad when I need one.
Oh.
Like, I remember her saying, after my son was born, she was really grossed out of, about he had a lot of meconium on him and like a lot of blood, and I bled a lot actually after his birth.
Oh
Like,
wow.
um, I bled through the mattress. Yeah, it probably would have been considered a hemorrhage. I don't. It doesn't really matter. But I bled a lot. I was fine. It doesn't matter because I was fine.
Yeah.
But she was super like grossed out about the blood and didn't want to come near, and like bodily fluids, like I understood it in that moment of like, oh,
Yeah.
he's like dirty, like she was sort of like, I'll come when you bathe him, right? And then at some point after that, well, I guess when my blood returned, when my cycle returned, and we were talking, it was probably the first, like she was older all of a sudden because my cycle, like I hadn't had it. I was pregnant and then I had the baby. And then, so it was probably one of the first times we were really talking about it. And she said something like, "Oh, that's yucky blood." And I was
You're like,
like,
no.
no, let me tell you how sacred this is. And like,
Oh.
oh, I don't know. I like really try. I was like, we talked about like how Gabriel was like maybe a little yucky with like my stuff on him after he was born, and like I know that like yeah, poop is yucky, and like, but like let me tell you about this blood, right? And how sacred it
Oh.
is, and how beautiful it is, and how blessed. And like I tell her about how she's gonna have it when she gets older, and
Wow.
that it's a sign of her health and her ability to be a mother, and she's obsessed with babies, and
Oh.
I'm sure she'll be a mother one day. So anyways, I'm like, I don't know, I hope it's not too much. I don't know, I think I tell her in a really conscious way of like, yeah, it should be normal, it is normal, and it's sacred, and it's so beautiful, and it's so sad that we've come so far from all that,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, and hopefully my son too will get to know that as well.
So
Right?
sweet. I love that moment you had with her. Like, that's so special to recognize that and be like, wait, no, like, let me tell you about this.
Yeah. Yeah, and now she doesn't like treat it as gross. She like comes close and looks at my underwear and like
Oh,
she doesn't really have a reaction to it anymore. So
well,
that's,
and that's
she'll
like
like
the
ask,
way.
asking
That's the
questions about it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the way they're learning is like they're seeing
Yeah.
how you respond to it and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
learning
exactly.
from
And she sees me like water the plants with it and
so sweet. I love that. I love that so
uh,
much.
yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so after you got your first bleed, like what were your early years of cycling like as a teen?
Yeah. I mean, it was very I remember it being easier than most of the girls around me. Like I said, maybe I told you before we were recording, like I never had any kind of terrible pain, like
Yeah,
any kind of bad cramps, like maybe a little cramping here and there.
nice.
Um, but it was like really easy and straightforward. And I remember a lot of girls like being aware of how hard it was on some
Well,
friends.
you grew up like pretty holistically and healthily. Like I
Yeah,
wonder how
and
much
I
that
wasn't vaccinated.
yeah.
I got like the tetanus shot. For some reason, my parents decided tetanus was like
Oh.
important out of all of them. Yeah, and I grew up on like organic food, like
That definitely plays a part.
not
Everything to be
processed,
healthy.
all home cooked food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, and I think back to that too, like how much and never like I never had any antibiotics as a kid. I never
Wow.
had any, I don't know, maybe I yeah. I like didn't even take Advil or Tylenol. Like I remember, yeah. It was like
So different
arnica
than the
if you
rest
got
of
hurt.
us.
Yeah, so I mean I really think that plays a big, big
Absolutely.
role. Um and yeah, I don't know what else. Oh, there was something I was thinking about how I do remember like I don't, it was probably in my late teens, maybe early 20s. And I think might have been my sister who brought it more to my attention. It was probably not even it was probably early 20s.
Mhm.
When I really think about it, but like starting to get some sort of understand like a little understanding for like how we are cyclical beings and how we don't actually feel the same way every day of the month, right? And
Yeah.
like I have this memory of like maybe it was something my sister told me, but I have a vivid memory of like that sort of clicking and being like, oh, like there's some days I feel tired and like some days I don't feel like that at all, like tired and groggy and like yeah,
Yeah.
and I still it was like a long time ago and it was a long time after that until I really connected the dots. Like but I just
Wow.
remember that being like,
Sort of.
oh, like why didn't I know that before? Like and then like having my sort of teenagehood flash before me of like, oh, that's why maybe I felt like different at different
Wow.
times, right? Like,
Whoa, I
because I
never thought
remember being
about it
aware of like, why don't I
retrospectively.
always feel this good? Like, is there something
Yeah.
wrong with me? You know, when I felt really good and like like probably when I was ovulating.
Yeah.
And I
No,
would
it's
think
so
about
true.
like, why don't I feel like this always? And then I
Yeah.
remember, and I think it was my sister who was like, oh, well, we're not supposed to feel the same way.
What a good sister, always dropping little wisdom bombs on you.
Right? 4 years older.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that a lot. Like when I first started really learning about the cycle, and like for me, it was probably when I was like 22 or 23 or something when I really started learning about it. And I remember like just speaking to at the time I was working at a yoga studio, like that was kind of my like young maiden job. So I'm like teaching yoga and like a bunch of other young girls were all teaching yoga. And I remember I would just kind of like talk to people about the cycle very generally as I was learning it. And that was like the biggest thing that people would say to me. They'd be like, "Oh, so nothing's wrong with me because I feel this way for a week every month." And it's like,
Right.
yeah, nothing's wrong with you. I mean, of course, now as a practitioner, I'm like, let's not have you feel awful.
Yeah, right.
Like that's not normal, but like feeling like not your most energetic, beautiful
Yeah.
self, that's normal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how it was for me because I didn't have any severe symptom. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I felt awful. It was just like
Yeah.
more sluggish and tired and like not understanding why, you know?
Yeah.
And I also remember no one ever explained to me like cervical mucus cervical fluid, I guess is a much better word.
I use
Uh,
both, but yeah, I know some people
and I
really don't like
remember
them.
I don't for whatever reason I didn't feel like asking my mom about that and just
Whoa.
not I remember living with just not knowing what it was.
So,
No,
did you
what none of
always
my friends
know
did.
that you wanted to be a mom, or like when did that awareness come in?
I always knew. I like as a little girl, I remember like I would daydream about having my own family and
Oh, that's so cute.
yeah.
And then, like, did you, I mean, I guess, yeah, I want to kind of bridge the gap from like sort of understanding your cycle to then getting pregnant. Like, what was your first like conception like? Yeah, like, how did that all happen, come together?
Yeah. Um, so I had been, I guess yeah, okay, let me think. So I got pregnant in 2021, the spring of 2021. My daughter was born in 2022. And I guess I was like, the year leading up to that, I was really aware that I was ready to become a mother finally. So it was like I actually my husband I've been with for 10 years and
Wow.
I met him when I was 21 or something. And
Wow.
um we always knew we wanted to have kids and like he always told me he was like just ready, like basically from like before we
So
were
cute.
together, like he was just like ready to be a dad. I don't, yeah,
Oh,
now he's like, okay, maybe I wasn't actually ready, but
that's
he
kind of cute
really
though.
wanted kids. And I really wanted kids too, but I was like really aware of wanting to be ready, feeling like there was more I wanted to do in my 20s before having kids,
Mm.
which looking back was a little bit of programming, a lot of programming. I sometimes think about like how, yeah, I did the whole, like I was going to college when I met my husband, and then I did a master's and kind of like waiting around for him to be done with his schooling.
Hmm.
Uh, and looking back, I was still like the youngest of all my friends to get pregnant at like 26, I guess it was, almost 27.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling like really like, oh, this is not what you do, like coming out of like higher education, like everyone's like trying
Oh,
to get a job and go into academia, and all I wanted to do was be a mother. And
wow.
I like after having my daughter, I actually was really like, wow, if I hadn't been so programmed about like how important education is, I feel like I would have gotten pregnant like maybe when I was 23 or 25 instead. I don't
Wow.
know. And maybe that
Well,
was it wouldn't have been the right thing, and who knows, we can't like,
yeah.
but
But
I
I
do.
love that like you let yourself have it when you did, because it's like if everyone else is getting jobs and you were like, no, my truth is that I want to be a mother. Like I'm so glad you let yourself do
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's true.
You
Yeah. So
know?
I was writing my thesis and I was like thinking, I was writing my thesis and being like, whoa, I am not getting a job after this. I am gonna get pregnant. So it was like very much planned. And then but I needed to like I wanted to finish the thesis because I had come that far. It was like I needed to finish that at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was gonna like hand in and defend my thesis in I think like May of 2021. And
Mhm.
a couple months before, it just like all of a sudden clicked like, whoa, I'm ready to get pregnant. Like I am ready.
I love that.
Like this is what we talked about. This is I was gonna have a baby after this, so I better get pregnant now, kind of thing. um
Whoa. And were you like tracking your cycle, or did you have awareness around like cervical fluid
yeah,
ovulation?
I think I had awareness about that by then. I wasn't like super tracking super closely.
Yeah.
And I actually think I came into more relationship and awareness. Like I wanted to get pregnant. So I was like, okay, I need to like know exactly when I'm ovulating now.
Yeah.
And I really actually became aware of it then. And I think that was like maybe February or March.
Mm.
And I didn't get pregnant the first try. And then the next month, I don't think I ovulated actually. I was super stressed out. I was writing my thesis, like finishing my thesis. And I, we also were getting married. Like, yeah, it was COVID. We had been engaged and like we never really planned a wedding, but then we wanted to travel back to California. We were living in Denmark at the time. And the
Mm-hmm.
only way Simon, my husband, was going to be able to get here with me, it was if we were married. So we were like, okay, let's just have a easy like town hall wedding and then we'll have or marriage and then we'll have a wedding later, right? And so that turned into like yeah, anyways, it was a lot of stuff. I remember being really stressed out and then I didn't get pregnant that month. And then after I was like, oh, like no wonder I don't think I even ovulated.
You might have, yeah,
And
stressful months.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got married and flew over here to California for a little honeymoon in San Diego
Oh.
and the Sierra Nevadas. And I got
Oh,
pregnant during those 2 weeks and
so
during our
cute.
honeymoon, which was amazing.
Wow.
And it felt like, oh, obviously, like we had to get married. um,
I love the getting pregnant on the honeymoon. That's like the cutest
right?
cliche in the whole world.
Yeah, so it was perfect. And yeah, we were here in California. I got to tell my family in person, and yeah, it was just like so incredible. It was the thing I just wanted most in the world, and I felt amazing, and I loved being pregnant, and yeah, everything basically changed.
How did you go
And
about that pregnancy?
yeah, so I knew I wanted a home birth like since before I was pregnant, and
Cute.
my husband was actually a medical doctor.
I remember that your husband's a
Yeah.
medical doctor.
And
Yeah.
I when the conversation we had had when we first got together, I like told him like, I'm gonna be having my babies at home. And he was like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure the relation, like, I trusted it. I don't know. I just knew he was like always changing. He was really into the fact that I was into homeopathy and like not
Yeah.
into the medical system. Like,
Cute.
I don't know. Everything about him, I don't know. It was just like a deep trust. Like, there's just things
Yeah.
we don't really have to talk about. And like we got through COVID as well. We had
Mm,
big awakenings about vaccines and the
yeah.
medical system doing that. And then,
Wow.
yeah. So when I was pregnant, like, I told him again, like, I'm having a home birth, so we should find some midwives, right? And he's like, yeah, okay. And yeah, the midwife thing was like very much my mom had my brother at home with midwives, and it was just like that's what you do.
Yeah. You grew
So
up with it.
yeah. So we did that. It was a little really different in Denmark because you not only is home birth like pretty alternative, but also the system offers you like a midwife that works in the hospital
Oh,
to come be your midwife at home if
okay.
you want that. And I was like, no way am I having a stranger from the hospital come be my midwife that I've like potentially never met before, come be
Yeah.
my midwife. So right away, I was pretty clear that I wanted like there's private practicing midwives, right?
Yeah.
Who are just doing home births. So I was clear about that. And that was like a big deal because it was like a lot of money.
Wow.
And no one we knew was doing anything like, I mean, no one we knew were even having home
And
births.
that's crazy because it's like you had that acknowledgement or like that knowing that you could do that. But for someone who like doesn't have that, like that's such a hard choice for them to make, which is so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. And I remember having conversations like, but why wouldn't you just take the free thing?
Yeah.
Like, why would you pay like $5,000? Yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
have to. And that's
Yeah.
like that's actually my whole critique, like a big critique I have of the medical system in Denmark because it's like
Yeah.
welfare because it's given to you for free. People don't seek out alternatives, which is really sad.
It is sad.
Uh, because why would you if you have to pay for it. Like no one's used to paying out of pocket, you know?
And like if you don't see the value in paying for that, like if that's
Yeah,
not a thing other people are doing, so you
right,
can't even see that that might have value.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I somehow knew, for whatever reason, I knew I wanted someone, luckily, that someone that I would be in relationship with before
Yeah.
the birth and during the birth.
Mhm.
And I also went to the doctor, which was funny. I like went to the doctor right away. I was so excited to be pregnant, and it was like I needed some like witnessing and
Yeah.
confirmation, and like obviously I didn't really get much that like what I wanted at the doctor. Like, and that's what everyone does, especially in Denmark. Like you go to the doc. I don't know if people I'm in a really different circle now here, so I don't even know if Americans do that, but like because I'm not really around normal Americans.
I know. I think people do, but not immediately. Like from what, because I see clients who are, like trying to conceive, and because they're working with me, I think some of the clients I see are a little more like out of the system, but some of them do still actually. I have a lot of clients who end up going to like have OB births and whatever, and that's fine. It's not my decision. But I think usually people do go to like confirm the pregnancy, but like I've noticed that people go like later,
Mm-hmm.
like not as
Yeah,
like
yeah,
immediate.
right. That I think that sounds right to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember going to the doctor and like it was, very, really boring. I was like just bursting at the seams with this like joy and excitement. And, the doctor's just like, yeah, okay, like we'll take a test, we'll take your blood. And I didn't know why they didn't explain to me why they needed to do a blood test. And then like we were scheduling the next appointment and I wanted my husband Simon to be there for it.
Yeah.
And they like didn't understand why. Like they were like, "Oh, he doesn't have to come with you." And I was like,
And you're like, what? We're having a baby.
"What are you talking about?" And basically, I went home from that, found a midwife, talked to the midwife about if I would have to keep going to doctor's appointments. They were like, "No." And like, yeah, that would be great if your husband wants to come to all your prenatals with us.
Oh.
And I was like, great. And I never saw the doctor again.
Yeah, you
uh,
need someone who can like hold the excitement with you.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really beautiful to have that witnessing from my midwife. There were partners. There was two midwives that I worked with. That like we switched. It was like on and off every other month with the
Mhm.
alternate one, for prenatals, and they did a lot of like workshops, for the partners, and like I was just suddenly like meeting other women and families that were having home births for the first
Wow.
time. Like everyone else in my Copenhagen world, like, yeah. I mean, I didn't really have friends at that point. I was the first of my friends to like be having a baby, so that
Wow.
also was part of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was really cool, and I learned a lot. I realized how interested in birth I was, and
Yeah.
like how everything just made sense. Like learning about physiological
Whoa.
birth and just like, whoa, like
That was happening during your first
during
pregnancy.
my first pregnancy, and
Wow, that's
also
cool.
getting the one-on-ones with my midwives. I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. Like I want, like I could see myself for the first time like a job, I guess, like that I could potentially
Whoa.
have. I was like, wow, like working one-on-one with women in this way, like as they're preparing for this
Mm.
initiation, like this would be incredible. And I was feeling amazing, and I was having the most, like the biggest spiritual awakening. Like I just felt so connected to God, and I was just like so like just like high, just like just like walking around like feeling so blissed out, and so connected to my baby. Yeah, she was like quiet. She was very quiet, but like my midwives were like giving me little reminders about like how to listen to her. And every time I tuned in, like I could just hear her and I could communicate with her. And it was just like it
Wow.
was, yeah, one of the peak experiences of my life, and just
Oh.
completely reoriented me to everything. I feel like everything. um yeah, and then I gave birth at home, And I had my midwife. It was just going to be one of them, the one that's on call. And
Yeah.
then do you
Yeah,
want
I want to
to
hear the birth.
okay. So just one midwife, and then the one that was on call that week. But my sister and my mom, not my whole family, my parents and my sister and my brother-in-law all flew in to be nearby
Wow.
for once my baby was born. So they rented an
Aw.
Airbnb like down the street from me. And I invited my mom and my sister to be at my birth.
Wow.
And my midwife also had a student she ended up bringing, and I invited two other girlfriends, and only one of them ended up making it. Thank goodness, like in retrospect. So I was in a really small apartment in Copenhagen, and yeah, I had a lot of women there, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Also, what had sort of been modeled to me, my brother with my brother's birth at home, like my mom had
Mm.
some friends and
She had a
her
lot of
mother
people.
there, and yeah, um, and it was incredible, and it was also like too many people there.
Really? You felt that?
I like really felt everyone's energy, and my midwife as well. She had some like frantic energy. I was like really kept getting like surprised, a little bit of like whiplash, like
Mm.
feeling know having this like really powerful knowing that everything was fine. And then I
Mm.
was just like birthing my baby. And then she would sort of take me out of it and like offer certain positions or like offer a
Oh.
bunch of stuff that made me think something was wrong, but I
Oh.
couldn't ask her what was going on during the birth.
Right.
Like I wasn't in a space to I was in a different realm, right? We can't really
Yeah.
communicate very well while while we're in the birth portal.
Whoa, yeah. That's so interesting because it's like I've been a doula in the past. I haven't done that in a long time, but I do remember like there is that sort of compulsive urge to fix, even if there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong. And so I
right,
wonder if that's what was going through
right.
your mind
Yeah,
too.
and I've talked to my mom, who saw the whole thing like since then, and she was really like, well, like you hired her for a reason, like they're hired to be there to do something, right? Like, which is true to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
yeah.
So yeah, nothing very like it was like totally intervention free, totally medicine free,
Yeah.
but also like I guess maybe yeah, intervention. So my midwife at one point thought that she had shoulder like she felt like she was stuck, but I never felt any of that, and I didn't understand what could have been showing her that. And I'm
Yeah.
not a super experienced midwife like this woman who was like in her 50s, but
Mhm.
I just it was like just a lot of frantic like yeah, there was no indication that she was stuck for a long time, but she needed to like put her hands inside of me and check, and like thinking there was a
Mm.
cervical lip, and just needing to do rebozo to like help her come through, where like the whole time I'm just like not yeah, and I guess where I'm at in my life, and at that point too, I just like I'm so in tune with my inner knowing. I feel so strongly that I would have known if something was wrong, and I would have reached
Yeah.
out for help if that was the case.
Yeah.
Um, and also there was something else I was gonna say about that. That oh, I was totally in like people pleaser mode and did
Whoa.
not like totally respected my midwife like as the authority, and was like looking to her the entire time about like I was even asking her like if it was okay to like have a nap, and like is it okay? I don't even know, like
Yeah,
she
you're
was
like,
like the authority in the room, right? And I was going to do whatever she said, and I was going to say yes to whatever she said. And it wasn't necessarily because she had that attitude of like, I'm going to tell you what to do.
yeah.
I think it was my conditioning that was like still very much conditioned to like
Whoa.
the expert and the medical authority, which, yeah. And there's a power. I'm like, I know that there's a power dynamic when we like I had never thought or been told or taught about anything about the power dynamic that happens in the birth space
Wow.
with the expert or authority, right? And so I
Yeah.
wasn't conscious of that. And So yeah, I feel really lucky in a lot of ways how amazing things turned out, and I didn't walk away with anything like that's really stuck with me in a bad way.
Yeah.
And I actually walked away feeling like the most incredible woman on earth.
Hell
Like
yeah.
I got, it was incredible. I was like, wow, I can't believe I actually did that. Uh,
Whoa, that's how you
and
should feel after you give
and
birth.
that's how you should feel, right? And it was amazing. And I was in a bliss bubble for so long. And um also though, the I can't believe I actually did that maybe comes a little bit from some of the drama that my midwife brought in about like maybe there's something being wrong and that I got through it.
Mm,
Um, and
wow.
now like I free birthed my second baby and it's actually like so mundane compared to that. Like it's amazing. And people are like, don't you feel like the most incredible woman on earth? Like you did that all by yourself. And I'm
You're
like,
like, I always knew I could.
yeah, that's
Whoa. I
basically it,
also
right?
wonder if there's something to do with like, the first one, like that it's like
Yeah,
something new. But I do hear
yeah.
you on like the one of the very first podcast episodes I did, it feels so long ago as I started this podcast, I think in 2024, so it's not that long ago. But this one woman, like she's had two children and she talked about a similar thing. In the first one, she had a midwife, and the second one, she had a free birth. Her name's Sarah. And the title of the episode is From Warrior to Goddess because she talked about how she felt like in her first birth, she was this warrior, like overcoming birth. And in the second one,
Mhm.
she just got to like be a goddess and just like receive this like
Yeah.
gift of birth.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, although my sister had a free birth like a couple months before I gave birth to my son, and
Mm.
she kind of agrees as well. Like even though it's her first birth,
Oh wow, it was her
she was
first.
also like, and it was several days and like it was intense, but she also was sort of like, oh, that was like it was hard, but it was like also not that big of a deal.
Because no one's making it a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. Which I think
Whoa.
is really interesting.
It
Um,
is really interesting. When did you kind of start to come to these conclusions about like midwives and things after your first birth?
yeah. So like really quickly after, so I was thinking about it a lot because I was like during pregnancy, I got so clear that I wanted to like at least be a doula or maybe a
Yeah.
midwife or something. I wanted to work with
Yeah.
pregnant women and maybe birth. And I, a few weeks after I birthed my baby, I met up with this mama. I mean, yeah, maybe a month later. I guess I was staying home the first few weeks, but pretty early on postpartum, I met up with a mother who was supposed to have her baby with the same midwives as me. That's how we knew each other.
Mm.
And she was just totally destroyed. She had gone to the hospital after 42 weeks because her midwives weren't allowed to be with her. Their licensure said they weren't allowed to be with her after 42 weeks. And she had an induction and she just got obliterated. She ended up with a C-section. They cut her womb like in multiple places because it was so uh contracted from the Pitocin,
Mhm.
and her partner thought she was gonna pass out, like that she was not, she was had died on the operating table,
Whoa.
and like she bled, she had like a crazy hemorrhage as well. She was just, it was like the most terrible thing you could ever hear about, especially like being, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks postpartum.
Mm.
And watching her, like knowing that she had planned this home birth and like just seeing how every single step of this that had happened to her was just because of arbitrary rules in the medical system. And
Oh,
right, and like us being duped to think that they matter,
yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah.
And I
So
just like
true.
so clearly saw that. And
Wow. Well, good. It's cool that you saw that because so many people do not.
yeah, I know. And I guess I had like started to see it. And I think COVID, having gone through COVID like a little before this and waking up to so many things during that era, like helped me.
Yeah.
Um, but so I saw that. And then actually at the same time, I saw another woman whose baby was born with cerebral palsy a couple weeks before my daughter Luna was born. And this baby was born at home with my midwife or her partner, not the midwife that actually was at my birth, but the midwives I had worked with. And she blamed her the injury. Like, we don't know if it's an injury or something. Cerebral palsy could have, actually, some people say that it's really high percentage that have it already in the womb before they're born.
Wow.
And she blamed it completely on her midwives and like went to the press and took down the midwife, like one of the midwives I
Whoa.
had been working with. And I like so clearly saw that in front of me as like, what? Like, if she had been in the hospital, what would have then gone down? And he still came out with CP, like, what would have then happened? And like, I don't think she would have been blaming doctors that way.
No.
Maybe she wouldn't be able to get away with it. And like, what about personal responsibility? And what about the fact that we actually don't know anything? Like,
Mm.
right? Like,
Whoa.
we can't actually know like what caused what. And
Yeah.
um so that was like also really clear to me at the same time, like what was going on kind of with like people not willing to take any kind of self responsibility, and people not willing, not having faith in God, I guess, and like not willing to surrender to the fact that we don't necessarily have answers for everything. I was really
Mm.
aware of that, like thinking about wanting to get into this work because I'm like, I don't want to be blamed for that kind of shit. Like, that's
Yeah, it's kind of
crazy. And I remember
scary.
telling like turning to my husband and being like, what? Like, maybe I shouldn't go into this work. And he like laughed at me because he was working as a medical doctor. And he was like, yeah, people don't take responsibility at all. um, so, he's used to that. And
Whoa.
so yeah, it was like all kind of in my face. And then I somehow found the Free Birth Society and started
Mm.
listening to, I just started binging. Like, at first, I remember the very first episode hearing Emily talk, being like, what? Like, not doing birth, like doing birth without a midwife? Like, what in the world? And then things started clicking for me, and I started realizing like, whoa, how much I outsourced to my midwife and how different it could have been. And yeah, like the thing about self responsibility making so much sense to me. And I don't know, I just like really, so much of it made so much sense. And like, I immediately knew that next baby I would birth would like probably be a free birth. Like, it was just like,
Wow.
it was like gave me permission to be like, yeah, I knew I could have done that on my own, and I
Yeah, because you had
want to do
felt
it on
it.
my own. I just felt it in my body. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so yeah, then I did the RBK school. We were in the same
Yeah.
cohort together. And that was like, yeah, that was really good for me. Like, it was really just exciting. I was just totally nerding out about birth. It was really exciting to have teachers on like confirming sort of this inner knowing and this idea of self-responsibility. And yeah, it was great. It was perfect for that time in my life. My baby was like almost a year and a half, maybe.
Ew.
And yeah, then we've moved back to California. This was all in
Yeah.
Denmark. We moved back to California when she was 2.
Okay.
And right away when I got here, maybe not right away, it took about 6 months, but I like knew I needed to start a pregnancy circle,
Mm.
and that I also wanted to start village prenatals. And
Oh,
I did that. And like, I
whoa.
just I just did it. I like found the venue and I just
Ugh,
did it. I think it helped. My sister got pregnant, and so it helped. I was like, oh, like I know she needs this community. Like, she was
wow.
like, encouraging me.
And for someone
And
who might not know like what a village prenatal or a pregnancy circle entails, like what kind of space were you holding for these women?
yeah, so the pregnancy circle, I like just really wanted to create a space where pregnant women could have community, first of all. Like, I think we are so isolated, especially as first time mothers, like going into the biggest initiation of our life and not, and then like knowing, coming out on the other end with a baby and having our families and lives completely reconfigured and like
Yeah.
not no, having other sisters to walk through with that. Like
Yeah.
we need other sisters to do that with,
Yeah.
right? And so that was like a big part of the vision. And also, I really feel passionate about physiological birth and education around that. And I feel like if more women understood how our bodies are designed to work, like this sacred design from God, like this is not it's not like some scientific thing, right? It's like
No,
literally our bodies are designed to birth our babies.
it's wild.
And it like basically not enough of us realize that
Hmm.
and realize what the design is, right?
Yeah.
So I feel really passionate about that education. And so I wanted to sort of
Mm.
weave the two, like creating community and space holding. So also witnessing, like I felt like I remembered how much I wanted to be witnessed in my pregnancy. And I got that from my midwives and some of the circles they held. That it was definitely inspired by the midwives I had with Luna. They had some circles like this where it was like some education and space holding. And so, yeah, basically just that. And so it
Wow.
kind of turned into like the first hour would be space holding, like share your fears, share whatever's on your mind. And then I would either come with a prepared topic about birth that I wanted to share, or like we would just get deeper into whatever, something, maybe there would be like a theme that was coming up or
Yeah.
something big that someone was holding, and we would like
Oh, I
unpack
love
it.
that.
So
I
yeah, it
love
was
that.
really special and it was
So
really
important.
well received. And I say was just because I've been on a break now since my baby has been born, and
Yeah.
hopefully starting it up again in the next couple months.
What I love about that, like, and it's something I try to bring into my work too, is like balancing the needs for women to like feel held and seen and have their emotions witnessed, but also providing like the educational aspect and like bringing in your knowledge and wisdom. Like, I think bridging that like connection and education is so special.
Yeah. Yeah. So it felt really good. It was really well received. I guess I also live in an area where where women are just really happy to circle, which is
Same.
amazing. Yeah, I bet in Nevada City as well. Yeah. So, if I had been in Copenhagen, it would not have really been the place. Like maybe it would have been, yeah, it would have been harder to sort of get it going.
Yeah.
But in my little town, I just like post on Facebook about it and then people just show up. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that what has been really, really cool.
I love that.
Um, and I also, with two other friends, started up Village Prenatals, which is modeled after Elder Midwife Sister Morningstar. So I was introduced to that. I don't know Sister Morningstar, but I was introduced to that whole idea and her work through the Radical Birth Keeper School. And it just sounded really amazing to me. And was like, I want to honor pregnant women this way. And so that's basically just like a day of celebrating and honoring our pregnant sisters in our community. And it's also been received so well. And it's been over a year now that we've been holding them. And we have our summer one coming up this Sunday. Um, and I'm so excited. Like I just get so excited every time, every time
Oh,
it's time to hold that. So I've been doing that at my house and we've been doing it seasonally. Yeah, just in my living room, and we've been really um conscious about inviting non-pregnant women as
yeah.
well. So, which I think is the model that Sister Morningstar
Yeah.
has. And yeah, people ask like, is it really like I'm not pregnant? So yeah, we invite non-pregnant women and pregnant women, and the point is to have space to hold the pregnant women, to tend to them, to treat them like queens, to give them, we give foot baths and massages, And we don't have the pregnant women cook. We have the women who are not pregnant come with food.
Yeah.
And we all eat together and we sing a lot of songs and we hold space for the pregnant women to share their fears and their highest vision for their birth. Um, and it's just really beautiful. And we like, I have such a community now from this. Like, I moved here not knowing anyone, like, other than my family, basically. Like, I really
Wow.
didn't have any friends who were still around here.
Wow.
And just with starting up these two circles, like, that's who my community is now, which is incredible.
Oh,
So I also got pregnant like right when I started. I like planned the circle and then I got pregnant, maybe the pregnancy circle. I got pregnant a couple weeks before the first one or something like
your
that.
body loves to get pregnant in California.
Um, yeah, and my son, he was like part of the plan, but he came a little earlier than we sort of
Anticipated.
anticipated. We were still settling in, and my husband didn't even have a job yet.
Whoa.
But then he got a job and like basically no offers or interviews. And then within 3 weeks of me getting pregnant, he got a full-time job
What
that
is it that people
got.
say babies bring abundance?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's never been truer. Like I can't even tell you how much abundance this baby, my son, has brought me. I mean,
Okay,
also
yeah.
my daughter, but I was feeling a bit in scarcity, I think, before I
Oh.
conceived him. And oh my God,
Uh,
the abundance that has come from
yeah, what was
him.
that
And
pregnancy like?
yeah, it was different. It was so different. I was not not feeling awful, but very much lower energy. Like it was a whole different thing, taking care of my toddler at the same time,
Mm,
not feeling as blissed out as I did the first time, feeling
yeah.
more just tired. And like I got really big really early, and I was just feeling so heavy. I just felt like a beached whale. And it was summertime. And I just wanted to be in the water at the beach, but I couldn't
Wow.
really. It was also hard to get to the beach with my body and my toddler. Um, yeah, so it was really different, but
Wow.
it was also good. I knew I wanted to birth on my own, and I had no reason this time around to like I didn't need witnessing from midwives. I had these circles already, which was so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So I got witnessing through that with just like up through other sisters. And it was completely like I didn't do any kind of testing or anything. And
Wow.
I didn't even do a pregnancy test, and that was
Oh
a
my gosh,
whole game
really?
to play with. I never thought I would do that. Like I heard,
Ah!
and then I was like, well, why should I go? Like I already know I'm pregnant. Like why should I go confirm it? There were so many times I wanted to reach for it,
Oh my gosh, I
but
can't
I was
imagine.
just like, I just knew, and it was so I had this creative energy just bubbling out of me, and I could feel my womb vibrating. Like
Whoa.
I'm not kidding. And this was in like the first 2 weeks of,
Ah!
yeah, it was like the first couple day or two of like knowing that my bleed should have come by then. And like
Wow.
I was just lying on the couch, feeling my womb vibrating and like knowing I was pregnant. And so I just kept going with that feeling. And I was just like, well, why should I outsource to this other little thing that like I already
Wow.
know the answer?
That's so
So
cool,
that was a
Tori.
cool game to play. Like wouldn't have really mattered if I had taken it, but it was just sort of
It
like,
was fun.
okay, yeah. Um, so yeah, I and then I was like very aware of I also have I will say like some of the sisters through the village prenatal group like I got to know some midwives and also
Mhm.
through my connecting and like I was getting to know midwives and I kind of felt like I wasn't going to hire anyone but I also like had some people that I could turn to with questions if I
Mhm.
needed to, and like
Mhm.
a doula friend or like birth keeper friend, like just
Yeah.
people in the birth world that I trusted.
Mhm.
Um, so I had that. Like I wasn't. Yeah, I just want to say that I wasn't like I had like connections, even though I wasn't hiring anyone. Like I had people in my life that I felt like I could turn to if I needed to.
That's special.
And I also felt, yeah, which was really, really good and like not something I thought about much, but I thought about sometimes. And I also, oh, now I don't remember what I was gonna say. But oh, I was like very open to like, I think I want to birth on my own, but that could change at any point. Like I
Mm.
feel like I want this, and maybe something will change and then I will hire someone. So I was really open and aware of that, open to and aware of that. Um, and at the end, I had a little bit of a freaky, looking back, I know it was just my baby and
I
God
remember this.
saying like, okay, pay attention to me. Like you
Yeah.
have been like just momming your toddler this whole time and doing life and not really, I yeah, unfortunately didn't spend a whole lot of time tuning into my baby and growing a connection while I was pregnant. Like I really, and I think this is something a lot of second time, third time, like mothers can struggle with, but like I just was really consumed with my life and my daughter. And it was just sort of like, yeah, and I'm pregnant. And so at the very end, I all of a sudden like had the scare of thinking my baby wasn't moving, like not feeling movement as much.
I
And I
remember that.
really considered going in for a non-stress test and like really talk to a friend, a doula, birth keeper friend, and like was weighing my option, talked to the RBK, our little cohort, our
Yeah.
Telegram chat, so sweet. Um, and just like really started listening to my baby and like tuned in and figured out what he needed, which was, I think, just me to chill the F out and get
How much,
quiet.
like, how you were in your, like, probably close to giving birth at this
Yeah,
point.
I think it was like, yeah, no, I don't know. Might have been like 38 or 39 weeks. I gave birth
Yeah.
around 42 weeks.
Okay, so you were
So I
getting,
still had maybe it was closer to 40 weeks.
yeah.
I still had a couple weeks before, but I think that was the gift. Like, especially in retrospect, it was like, no, like take the time and calm down and yeah, have some quiet time before baby comes.
And you were able to do that.
And I was able to do that. Yeah, like I needed, I like was, I had to get my daughter out of the house to like have that time to connect with him. And then once I did that, I was like, oh, this is really good. And then like
Oh,
my mom was like, okay, like I'll take her more, like take more
yeah.
time to yourself. And
That's
so that
sweet.
was really sweet. And ultimately, yeah, basically like after I got that quiet time, he started like moving like crazy, like he had been before. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, yeah, okay.
Oh.
Understood.
He was like, I just wanted attention.
Yeah.
Wow. And
So
then you went
yeah,
in.
and then he was born at almost 42 weeks, like maybe 41 days and 41 weeks and 5 days, something like that.
And what was that like? You said it was like
It was
mundane, but not
fast and
mundane.
intense and like a cannonball. I woke up in the night to pee like normal and noticed tiny little contractions. And I was like, um, I had like only had a little bit of that a week or two before. It's like also with my daughter, it was not normal. Like I didn't have any contractions before birth until like the day or two before birth.
Whoa.
Whereas a lot of women I know like really have a lot of contractions leading up to it.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to just be like, okay, like I'm just here waiting.
That is interesting.
And so in the night, I was like, oh, I hope this is it. I was so ready to give birth. My feet were so swollen and I was so tired. And I was just so ready to meet him. And I remember just being like, okay, like this, like I hope this is it. But I'm not, I need to go back to bed. I'm not gonna put much energy into it other than like, yes, thank you, like love, heart open, like yeah, I was like
Wow.
very, very consciously opening, I guess.
Yeah.
So I woke up so many times that night, the night before he was born, to pee and felt the contractions getting a little stronger, and it got me a little excited. I was like really determined not to get too excited or not too in my head about it. But so I just like focused my energy on like, yes, please, thank you. Yes, God, please, like,
Mhm.
yes, yes, yes. And
Wow.
then I woke up at like 7:30 in the morning. I remember looking at the time, and things felt more intense. I didn't want it to not to go away though. So
Mhm.
I tried not to make a big deal about it. Like my husband woke up and I just was like, "You're gonna stay home today." Like something's happening. Um, and yeah, we just sort of telepathically, he knew I wanted like wherever I was birthing to be sort of tidied up and cleaned up.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if I told him, I don't know. He just sort of started like sweeping the floor and like tidying up our bedroom and like brought me my birth ball. And
Oh,
then like I just got deeper and deeper into it. Um, and he was born at 11:27 in the morning. So like 4 hours later after that, he
whoa.
was born. And my husband had no idea that I was that close. And my daughter was there too. And the plan, I kind of wanted my daughter to be there. She wasn't there
Yeah.
for his actual emergence. She was there in the morning,
Yeah.
and I liked the idea of her being there and witnessing the birth. And also she was like way too loud and was
Okay. Yeah.
talking way too much, and I had to kick her out.
You were like, I can't.
And yeah, it was amazing, and it was so intense. And I remember screaming like, I'm never doing this again. I can't believe I decided to do this again. But also I like was so I feel like I like made my mind like I feel like it was a mind game for me. Like I feel like I actually decided to surrender, which is
Whoa.
so weird to say. Like looking back on it, I feel I'm not sure I could do it again. Like
Whoa.
I don't know. Like hopefully I can if I have another baby. I mean, we all surrender at some point, but
Yeah.
somehow from the very beginning, I was so determined that I was going to surrender and I was going to melt at every sensation instead of contract, right? And I did. Like I feel like I did. He was born so fast.
That's
And
crazy,
like
Tori.
I don't know. And when I say this, I don't think anyone else can necessarily do that either. I don't know if I can do like I'm not saying that this is like the way you should do it, right? That's
But
what
you made a choice and like you were able to, I mean, I
yeah,
even heard it when you were saying like you were saying yes, thank you. Like in
yeah,
the beginning, it's like, oh,
yeah,
you were changing the way that you were relating to what was
yeah,
happening, which is
yeah,
huge.
yeah. And I really did. Yeah, I exactly. I consciously made that relationship with what was going on and with God. And I was like, thank you. Take me. Please, thank you. Like,
Oh,
I love you. Like, yeah. And so I
wow.
don't know. But while I'm talking, I just like I say that I don't think this is like the way you're necessarily supposed to do it. And I don't know that it could work again. Like, I'm not saying this is the way you get a 4 hour birth or that a 4 hour birth is necessarily like ideal. It was really fast. And I was
Yeah.
really surprised when he was born.
You were like, oh.
Um, yeah. So I all of a sudden I just felt him coming through my yoni, like into my vulva. Like I just felt him there. I was standing over the toilet. I used the toilet a lot to like open up. Every time I sat on the toilet, that was part of it. It was like I could just like open. Um,
Wow.
I just like felt, and while I was going pee in the night too, I like felt myself open. I was like just like leaning into it kind of. So he was born. I was standing above the toilet when he was born, like with like kind of squatting, and there's walls on either side of my toilet. So I was like holding
Yeah.
myself up on with the walls on either side. And I had this like dream that I would be standing up birthing him. So that was
Whoa.
kind of cool to sort of like, yeah. And actually, I kind of meant to birth my daughter that way, like standing
Right.
up. And then my midwife suggested I get in the pool before she was born, and she was born in the water. And that
Mhm.
ended up being fine. There were like a few things. Yeah, I was kind of like, why? but I'm like about to give birth right here. Like, why should I go to the water? But I
Right.
didn't say that. I just did what she wanted
Instant.
me to do. So it felt kind of redemptive, like, oh, this is like how I wanted to birth. And like, then I had
Oh.
this dream, and then I like birthed right there. My husband caught him. And it was just like, holy
Wow.
shit, he's here. And he like sat him down, like on he had I told him we were on the bathroom floor, so I was like, okay, get some warm, comfy things. Like there was a stool right in front of me. I was like, get the sharp thing out of the way. I was also trying to tell him to like take off his clothes. He was like wearing a shirt. And
And you're
I
like,
like had a
no.
problem for some reason, like while my baby is coming out of him that he had a shirt on. I'm like, he has a towel to catch him with.
And you're like,
I'm
no.
like, and he's like, I'm afraid of him slipping out of my hand. I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he caught him, and then I like sat down and he handed him to me, and
Oh.
it was just incredible. I like he was just screaming right away. Oh, he was actually crying as he was emerging. So
Oh.
before his whole body, his head was born, and before his whole body was born, he was crying. And I didn't hear it until my husband said, he's crying, or it's crying. We didn't know he was a boy.
Yeah.
But, or I knew actually intuitively. I absolutely
You
knew.
know.
But, yeah. And then it was like, I was in a completely different realm, right? And then my husband said, he's crying. And it was like, I like switched and got present and like heard his cry all of a sudden,
Oh.
which was crazy. And my
Like
eyeballs
shifting from
just
being in
popped.
like birth labor land to
Yeah,
like, whoa, my
to,
baby's
yeah,
here.
to earth. I like came back to earth,
Whoa.
and my eyeballs felt like they were gonna like pop out of my sockets. Like I was all of a
Oh.
sudden so aware and so present. And then he was born and he was right there. And I think the first thing I said was like, go get Luna. Because she had been out
Oh.
on the deck. Like Simon had brought her outside because she would have been too loud. So she missed it, but she came in and she saw him right there. And yeah, it was really
Oh.
special. And then, and I birthed the placenta right away. And
Nice.
then, but then I actually had like grunty, like after pains, like contractions kind
Oh.
of continued, and they were grunt, like I was like pushing with them.
Whoa.
And I noticed I was bleeding, like trickling blood. And I
Yeah.
got in bed and I got warm, and it kind of just continued. And same with the after pains. And
Mm.
I was just sort of like, okay, what's going on here? I knew I had like learned a lot about postpartum hemorrhage and like what to do and what the signs
Mm.
are. And I kept checking in with like I was feeling okay. I wasn't feeling dizzy. I wasn't getting ringing
Yeah.
in my ears. I was like present and aware with it, but like I knew I shouldn't have a trickling of blood
Yeah.
still. And
Yeah.
so I called my sister, and she lives on our land, so she luckily was right here, and she came in. I was like, I'm so hungry and I need to drink, and I think that's gonna help me, but I don't want to be left alone. So
Mm.
she got me that stuff while Simon stayed in the bedroom with me. And yeah, I had like a huge drink of electrolytes, and we like played around with a little homeopathy and even some shepherd's purse, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna
But
ask
like
if
I
you
just
take
took one
herbs.
dose. I didn't notice anything change really. And then about it was like about an hour postpartum, I had a huge after pain and pushed out a huge clot. Actually, it
Whoa.
had been some other big clots, but finally the very last one was like as big as like maybe a block of butter, and it had like what looked like some membranes with it.
Oh,
So I think
wow.
maybe that if my body was trying to get that
To
out,
expel that.
um,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense. And also, right around the same time that happened, my sister gave me a dose of rescue remedy, and I
Mm.
immediately, like, yeah, basically the bleeding stopped right at those
Wow.
moments. I don't know exactly what came first, but the rescue remedy was amazing. It was like I immediately felt like I thought was feeling high and really good, and then the rescue remedy just like brought everything. I don't
Mm.
know how to explain it, but it was amazing. I was like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to feel. I like got, yeah,
Whoa.
into my body. So yeah, it was a lot of blood. Like I
Yeah.
was pretty dehydrated for
Were
several
you
days.
like worried about the blood, or were you just kind of like, my
I was
body's like,
never worried. I was never
yeah,
worried. I was like, I feel okay. I just need to figure out how to stop it.
yeah, yeah. It
And
sounds like
also,
your
I
body
think part
was,
of the not worrying was like I knew what to do. I like was feeling my womb and like felt
yeah.
that it was contracting and it wasn't floppy and like
Hmm.
I knew what signs to look for. I probably would have been worried if I didn't know what to look for,
For
what
sure.
to be aware of, and maybe what to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I'd never had any, it wasn't, I was just like, okay, we need to figure out how to stop this.
Well, I love that, like, you're a couple things stand out. Like, first, the redemption of like being in the position you naturally wanted to be in. I just absolutely love that. I think that's epic. And also just the lack of drama and worry that happened when you just were like in charge of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, yeah, okay.
Wow.
Uh, and yeah, and I think also, yeah, I mean, I think about how undisturbed the birth was, right? And how like it could have been totally different in those 4 hours if I had people coming in and out. I think about that so often. Like there, it feels like there, yeah, that's amazing that I had that. I like am really so grateful I set myself up that way. My baby was also almost 11 pounds. He was huge and I didn't tear.
Wow.
And I so like I think about these things like what the system tells you about like how like
Mm,
big babies cause are like have shoulder dystocia and you're gonna rip to your butthole and like all these things that didn't happen, right?
yeah.
And also how undisturbed his birth was, right? And
Mm,
then also at the same time, I think about how I think probably what I the system would have considered what I had as a postpartum hemorrhage. Like I bled a lot. I don't know exactly how much, but I bled through the mattress. And I
mm,
did end up getting dehydrated, like at the very end, right as the bleeding stopped. Like when I sat up, I
mm,
like felt dizzy and yeah. Anyways, I was okay, but like we're also told in the free birth world in the like physiological perfect is the perfect design world that like we won't hemorrhage if we have an undisturbed birth, right? um so I think that's really interesting. All
yeah.
and also I think there might have been an energetic component of him being so coming so fast. And I think my
Yeah.
husband was a little shocked and he was sort of like his energy, he was a little frantic. He was like trying to clean up. And like instead of just like coming into presence with the two of us.
I like men in the birth space just cracks me up because they like need something to do.
Yeah. And so even after he was born, like because we didn't have maybe a birth keeper or midwife there, like he was trying to take on the role of like, oh, I don't know. There's like meconium
Yeah.
and blood all over. Like I gotta clean that up instead of just getting into bed with us.
Yeah.
Um, and so I wonder how much that affected me. And it in that sense, that is a disturbance, maybe to the
Yeah.
hormonal matrix. And so, but also maybe I just needed to get those membranes out.
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, it sounds like your
I mean, I
body was
definitely
doing
did need
exactly
to get
what
that
it
out.
needed. Yeah, like that had to happen. It sounds like your body was acting intelligently.
Yeah, uh-huh. And so then, of course, I also think so much about how much drama could have ensued if I had a medical professional there who would have wanted to intervene
Yeah.
with like because I was bleeding for an hour
Mm,
afterwards. Um, and I didn't have any drama and I was okay and I knew I would be okay and I didn't have any fear
mm,
and it was all perfect actually. So yeah, that birth has given me so much to think about, just in
wow.
terms and in this wake of like realizing how much dogma there's been about free birth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting, right? And I also feel like I've never been dogmatic about it. Like it always came from such a true place of knowing that
Hmm.
I wanted to be alone and that I was also listening to whether or not I needed help from the outside, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know I would have like reached for that help if I had gotten the message that I needed it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. It is like that, that it you can choose something and not be dogmatic about it. I know plenty of women
yeah,
who like think they want a free birth and then at the last minute are like, actually, maybe I want a midwife. And I think
yeah,
as long as you can hold, something a little more lightly, like you're in a good place with it. It's only
yeah,
when you think this is the one way that things become a problem. But I feel like for you, it's like you had this feeling in your first birth that you were like, I'm good on my own.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then also with what happened with the bleeding after and needing like my sister really being a support person with that, it also helped me realize how like next time I also would be really setting myself up more. She would be getting the message that I'm in labor and she needs to stay put
Mm,
until we call on her or like someone, right? Like that someone would actually be on call if we needed instead of just being a little nonchalant about like, oh, like, yeah.
right.
And I've seen women in my community like try to free birth on their own and just either transfer or end up we have this incredible midwife in our community who like will just show up for a woman that she doesn't know.
Oh,
Which yeah is amazing for the
yeah,
women that need that. And also yeah, it's like made me realize that there's this whole conversation that needs to be had about how, I mean, women alone does not mean alone as in no one to call on. Like we
yeah,
can be alone, we can want to be alone in our birth space. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the support to reach out to if we need it.
yeah,
And I think ideally we would know midwives or other like whatever professional it is that you actually already have a relationship with, and so that
yeah,
both parties would feel trusting of each other
mm,
if the call happened, right?
yeah.
If the support
I like
line
that.
needed to be pulled on,
Yeah.
like so that I've like been thinking a lot about that and how
Mm,
I do think women walk into free birth thinking that they're gonna just be fine on their own, uh,
yeah.
and that they should be, or that they don't trust anyone, so there's no one to call on
And
anyway.
that's not healthy either.
No, and I think there's actually maybe a misunderstanding about free birth in that way, which is
Mm,
really too bad because
yeah.
I absolutely 100% next time I would set myself up to be alone again,
Mm,
alone in quotes, right? Like, uh, but
wow.
not without people to call on if I needed it.
Yeah, and that's the village that you've been building,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, since this birth, it's 10 months ago now, like, who have you become since then? What's happened in your life and like who are you now?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Well, yeah, primarily I am going through my day-to-day life, just taking care of my two babes, stay at home, and it feels familiar and also so different than how it was with one baby. And I have a lot less patience and a lot less just I don't know. I've been feeling that a lot. I've been a lot more on edge,
Yeah.
which I think comes with, like having just double the amount to attend to,
Mm,
um, amount of energy. But it's been amazing. And it's like it feels exactly right to have these two children. Um, and so that's like where primarily where my energy is taken up. But also I like have been uh still hosting the village prenatals, which has been really special, and
yeah.
kind of stepping into this role of realizing like that I want to be a birth mentor. And like I don't
Mm,
know if I'll ever really attend births. Maybe if it's like it feels like exactly the right fit, or maybe,
yeah.
with a friend, whatever. But I'm like really realizing that I'm like a community builder and like also someone who can that I think I embody a lot of intuition, and that I can teach that actually to other women, and like I've been seeing how women are turning to me for that. and it feels really right and really good. It's like I'm the mirror. Like I don't feel like I actually have things to teach other than like showing women like what their knowing is and how to find it. And that's been like really cool. And so part of my everyday life actually has every week I meet with an incredible circle of mamas and their babies who I know because of the pregnancy circle and village prenatals that
Wow.
I started, right? Like all we had this cycle of mamas and babies who gave birth all around the same season. And
Aw.
more are coming in as they give birth. But we meet every week. And that's been like an incredible place of like counsel and connection and sisterhood. Um, and so yeah, I'm like I feel like I'm tending like really to like community and this orientation of hood, motherhood, like the full spectrum from like
Mhm.
pregnancy to birth and motherhood through all of that. And um I feel it's like an interesting question because I feel like it's really just recent that I'm like coming more home to myself. If you had like asked me this like maybe just 2 months ago, my baby's 10 months. So like it takes
Wow.
some time, but like the
Yeah.
first 6 months at least for me, I don't know what other people are like, but for me it feels like just you're just like in it and
Yeah.
like you don't really know what's separate from you and your baby. Like you and your
Yeah.
baby aren't really separate at all yet. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I've been like finding myself in that area of like, oh, I'm meant to just like keep holding these spaces where people, women can find counsel and we can like weave community and like women can find each other and I can be there as like a pillar of support for whatever it is that women are mothers, new mothers, soon to be mothers are going through. So that's kind of like who I'm becoming, I guess.
Wow.
And it feels really good. And like I also have this bigger vision. Like it feels so incredible to hold pregnant women and also like being in this postpartum again. I'm remembering again all this grief about how not supported new mothers are, right? And being around that and being wanting to give more than I can. Like I
Mm.
literally am just like getting food on the table for my own family and like all these new mothers around me and like wanting to contribute to their support network
Yeah.
and knowing them on a personal level and hearing their grief about not being supported and not really feeling like there's much I can do and that being okay right now for the season of life I'm in and also like I don't know what it is right now but there's something that needs to come through that's like more a network and a holding of support around
Mm.
postpartum mamas
Mm.
and maybe it's like weaving that into like our like we have a we have this community that's coming from the village prenatal, right? And but part of the issue is that then women have their babies and they don't have support. Like we all have new babies, right? So there's something that's like needing to come from like more women without babies who want to be part of the support network that maybe envision themselves as the mother one day
Yeah, definitely.
now. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know, but there's like a bigger vision that's going on with that for also supporting
Wow.
postpartum mamas. So we'll see what happens. Uh,
Yeah, it's a beautiful like blueprint that you're creating for a women's village and a women's community, and I trust that it's gonna unfold beautifully. My group has like we don't meet for like necessarily village prenatals, but we do meet for circle, and I think we have a pretty good mix of mothers and maidens, and it's kind of sweet to think that like yeah, sometimes my friends who are mothers usually like actually just the other day my friend who has a 10-month-old and a almost 3-year-old like just sent a group chat to like the three maidens in our group and was like, "Can anyone come help with bedtime tomorrow night?" Or
Oh,
like yesterday,
yeah.
literally yesterday, I went over to my friend's house for lunch and held her littler one while she put the older one to sleep. Just like little things
Oh,
like that.
yeah,
And then I
totally.
know that like one day when I'm in the phase of life where I'm becoming a mother, like they're going to have older kids and they're going to be
Yeah,
able to show up for me. So I do
yeah.
think that that's like such a beautiful thing to try and create.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. And I guess because of the format of the village prenatal being like an event that just happens seasonally,
Right.
that women don't necessarily feel. Yeah. So we're starting to work in like we had our first reunion, village prenatal reunion, like picnic. We had like a picnic in the
Cute.
park. And we're like, okay, we need to also do this on the off season of village prenatal so we can like have more in-person gatherings to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
But yeah, it takes time. It takes time for people, and people are not good at reaching out for help, asking for help,
Yeah.
myself included. Like
I
I'm
know,
getting better
same.
at
It's like
that
such a
every day.
thing.
And it's just, it's like a really, it's a new thing we're doing. And it's like
It's
a
new.
remembering of like how do we do this? How do we actually show up to each other, like for each other? Like what is true support and what does that mean? And yeah. It's a
Oh
lot.
yeah, it's so,
Yeah.
and I mean, I even think of it too, like I need support from my mother friends sometimes,
Yeah.
like I need
Yeah.
reminding that like, when I get discouraged that I'm never gonna meet the man or find the baby, I need them to hold it
Right.
for me. Or like sometimes I need them to cook me lunch because I'm all alone here eating all my meals by myself and I want to be around a
Exactly.
family, like we need each
Exactly.
other.
I know we need each other. I
Yeah,
know.
so
I know.
sweet.
And
I
it's
love
so sad. I know. And I have so much grief around how separate we are from these different stages of life, right? That like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I really am holding that vision and prayer to weave that in more and create community with maidens, mothers, crones, all of it. And
Such
I
beautiful
don't
things.
know. We'll see what happens.
It's
I hope it
exciting and
happens.
I really just admire the vision you have and like the heart you have to like offer this type of connection and service to your community. And yeah, I'm like, we could talk for so long. It's been so sweet, like hearing your stories. I loved talking to you about like normalizing blood for your daughter. I loved hearing your birth stories. Like, I loved hearing like how many realizations around birth and sovereignty you've come to just like from your own lived experience. It's been really, really special. And I'm like excited to see what you create. And I know before we hit record, you were saying you're working on your website. And I'm just, yeah, curious if you want to share any ways that women can connect with you and find you before we wrap up.
Yeah, so I'm working on my website. It's not, maybe it will be published by the time this episode is out. I'm not sure, but I can send you the link if it
Exciting.
is. I don't even know the domain yet. But I have an Instagram. It's underscore between both between birth and
Hmm.
into an underscore clarity. Um, and I'm not super active there, but you can find me there. And if you're local to Northern California, Sonoma County, um, definitely come to one of our gatherings.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been really sweet talking to you too, Natalie. And also, I want to say that like I I get like I'm not on Instagram all the time. Sometimes I see your content, sometimes I don't. I know I don't interact that much, but I definitely have learned a lot just from you and what you put out
Aw.
into the world. Um,
Thank
Even
you.
though we haven't worked together, and it's so sweet. It's so sweet that we met each other in RBK school, and I don't know, to just have this connection. Like we're both going in our own ways and doing
Yeah.
our work, and I see your work and the beauty and power and value it has for the world
Oh,
too, and it's really really beautiful.
thank you. That means so much to me. Yeah, it's sweet to see like the different women, when you do a type of training, and this is for anyone listening to can probably relate because I presume most people listening to these episodes are deep in the women's world as well. It's like we're all kind of activating our own little sector of how we're supporting women, and it's cool to like feel like we're in this beautiful mosaic of women supporting women, and
Yeah,
I love to think about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Oh,
Exactly.
thanks for being here. This was so sweet.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie.
Mm. Thank you for tuning in to the wisdom of the womb today. It's truly such an honor to bring these stories and teachings forward to you, and it would mean so much to me if you'd rate and review this podcast so that it can reach more women. If you're looking for deeper support, you can always find the link to join our online community, the Cyclical Living Circle with the best women in the world, in the show notes, and you'll also find the links to book one-on-one virtual sessions for your specific needs, as well as any workshops or courses I'm currently offering. Plus, you can follow me on Instagram, and I love to connect with you all there. All right, see you next week.